60 Minutes Rewind.
Surely we do not like to hear hate coming out of the mouths of school kids, but go to the schools of North Korea as a Dutch television crew did, and you will hear hate from that country's teenagers directed at us, the United States. Western television reporters rarely get into North Korea, but remarkably they did let that Dutch TV crew in to see how they are using Holland's most famous book, The Diary of Anne Frank. That diary of her life in hiding during World War II is now being read, studied in North Korea's high schools. But Anne Frank's plea for peace and freedom got lost in translation. For North Korea is using her diary not to teach how Anne suffered at the hands of the German Nazis, but to warn the students how they could suffer at the hands of those they call American Nazis.
What did you think about Anne's diary?
After reading this book, I had a hatred for the American Nazi imperialists.
That warmonger Bush is just as bad as Hitler. Because of him, we will always live in fear of war.
But Anne Frank did not preach hate. Her diary is an enchanting, if horrific, day-by-day account of the time this Dutch teenager and her Jewish family spent hiding from the Germans who had invaded and occupied Holland. Anne, her parents and sister, hid in a small apartment in an attic in Amsterdam for more than 2 years. This bookcase concealed their secret stairway. But the Nazis eventually discovered them, and Anne died in a concentration camp when she was only 15. Now Anne Frank's house is a shrine to the courage she displayed, the fear she lived with under Hitler. Her diary has been translated into more than 100 languages. Most recently, it was published in North Korea, where it's now part of the curriculum in their schools.
Why is everyone involved in war and not peace? Why are they building ever bigger planes and heavier bombs in England? Why are millions being spent on war and not a cent on medical science, art, and the poor?
Anne Frank's plea for peace and freedom is a curious message for these students because North Korea is constantly preparing for war. Dictator Kim Jong-il spends the country's meager resources maintaining a powerful military. And it turns out that North Korea is using Anne's diary to tell students they must sacrifice for the military because war with America is inevitable.
The Americans enjoy war. It excites them. It's part of their nature.
Here they teach that today's Nazis are Americans, and today's Hitler is George W. Bush. And to hammer home the indoctrination, whenever North Korean students refer to President Bush or to other Americans, they're taught to call them Nazis or warmongers.
As long as a warmonger Bush and the Nazi Americans live, who are worse than Hitler's fascists, world peace will be impossible to achieve.
But of course that bellicose message runs counter to what Anne wrote in her diary.
You will understand that here in the attic, the desperate question is often asked, why, oh why, go to war? Why can't people live in peace, and why must we destroy everything?
Why do you think there are still wars in the world?
Because the cruel Americans want war.
All this came as a shock to Miriam Bartelsman, the reporter from Dutch television, who received rare permission to come to the capital city of Pyongyang to see how North Korea is using Anne's diary. For her report, she was allowed to talk with these students about what they're learning from the book. And after returning to Amsterdam, she told us that North Korea is simply turning Anne's message on its head.
Anne Frank's diary is a big plea or a big cry for freedom and for peace. But I think in North Korea, the diary is being used to promote war.
These students sympathize with Anne Frank, but the Dutch reporter found they do not respect her. Is Anne Frank regarded as a loser?
Yes, that's what they're saying.
In North Korea?
A loser in that she didn't win, she was not a hero. In North Korea, they are learning the children, we all want to be a hero. and we don't want to be killed.
So don't be like Anne Frank.
Be better prepared.
Be stronger.
Yeah, be stronger, yes.
Be stronger so they can defeat America.
We know that Nazi America is certain to start a war with us, but we will win that war.
Our students will fight with a pen in one hand and a weapon in the other until the last American is dead.
These youngsters parrot the words of North Korea's Deputy Minister of Education, who uses Anne's diary to teach students that North Korea's top priority is to build a stronger military to defeat America.
주먹으로 때려야 됩니다.
An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
그래서 미친 개는 몽둥이로 때려야지.
A mad dog listens only when you beat him with a whip.
What can Korea do to prevent a new war?
평화를 유지하기 위해서는
To achieve peace, we must not beg, but must fight for it with all our might.
And to make sure the students give that same answer, Dutch television caught this teacher whispering to her students, telling them just what to say to the Dutch reporter.
Say that we don't want war, but that is impossible as long as our enemy lives. So for us, war is inevitable. We are not going to beg for peace. Instead, we must crush our enemy without mercy.
You should not beg for peace. As long as the imperialists live, there will be no end to war.
The most shocking thing is their comparison for President Bush with Hitler. That is absolutely disgusting.
Buddy Elias was Anne's cousin, her playmate, and her last living direct relative. It was he who approved giving North Korea the rights to publish her diary for a symbolic payment of less than $2,000. When you gave the rights to North Korea to use it, it never occurred to you that they would subvert it, corrupt it, the book?
Not really. We were not told that it will be misused in schools. That we had no idea.
To Buddy Elias, today's Hitler is Kim Jong-il, North Korea's supreme leader, who insists that when anyone mentions his name, they must first call him respected or beloved.
Our dear respected leader Kim Jong-il protects us.
I lived through the Hitler time. And it's just exactly the same. There were so many slogans there. You know, ein Reich, ein Volk, ein Führer. One Reich, you know,
yes.
One people, one leader, our leader, Heil Hitler.
Same thing.
Same thing.
And in North Korea, teachers don't decide what their students will read. Here, those instructions come down from the top.
Why did you read this diary?
According to our respected leader Kim Jong-il, the Diary of Anne Frank is one of the greatest classics of the world. That is why we read the diary, out of great respect for our leader Kim Jong-il.
Our respected General Kim Jong-il, with his warm and caring love for us students, gives us different foreign literature every year in hope that we can expand our intellectual development.
Our beloved general sent Anne Frank's book to every student.
In North Korea, all art, all music, all pageants are created to praise Kim Jong-il or his father Kim Il-sung, North Korea's first leader. While these children of the elite sing of their leader in Pyongyang, youngsters out in the countryside are starving. These pictures were smuggled out of North Korea by a German doctor. According to the World Food Program, almost half of North Korea's children under the age of 7 suffer from chronic malnutrition, but not the children of the establishment in Pyongyang.
I'm certain that thanks to our beloved general, Kim Jong-il, we will never experience hunger like Anne did.
The story will continue after this.
Why is there hunger when food rots away elsewhere? Why are people so crazy?
When the Dutch reporter asked students if they could answer that question, again, their teacher told them just what to say.
Why isn't food distributed everywhere? Because the imperialist bourgeoisie take it. That's why there is nothing left for the proletariat. Just say that.
The food is taken by the imperialist bourgeoisie, which is why there is nothing left for the proletariat.
Apparently, these students don't know that in their socialist paradise, up to 1 million people are now held in slave labor camps. But thanks to Anne Frank, they do know a lot about Nazi concentration camps.
Decent people are deported to concentration camps, prisons, and isolation cells. Scum reigns over young and old, rich and poor.
Do you think that concentration camps like that still exist?
Yes, I think such camps still exist. As long as there are American Nazis, there will be secret places where innocent people are murdered. Places like that exist in America. The prisons in America are comparable to concentration camps.
As you spent day after day, what did you begin to think? What did you begin to feel about what you were watching?
I thought all those people are kind of prisoners in their own country. They were always looking very sad and seriously.
And apparently they have learned what they were supposed to learn from Anne Frank's diary. When war with America comes, don't be a loser like her.
Could you live in hiding the way Anne did?
No, I would go and fight instead of living like a beggar, as Anne did.
For world peace, America will have to be destroyed. Only then will Anne's wonderful dream of peace come true.